1 week in Poland. News, comments, events, everything you need to know about the country you live in. Hello everybody, welcome to a new episode of 1 Week in Poland, the broadcast by IMI Radio, which tells you what's happened in the country in the last 7 days and gives you some advices for the weekend if you are living in Warsaw. My name is Fabio Turco, I'm a journalist, and I will spend with you the next half an hour. So, if you're ready, let's go! The first news we start this week is unfortunately something very sad. At the beginning of the week, 7 members of World Central Kitchen, a US-based humanitarian organization operating in the Gaza Strip, were killed in an Israeli strike on their vehicles. It was exactly on Monday. One of them was a Polish citizen. His name was Damian Sobul. Following the report, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu admitted a tragic case of an unintentional strike by Israeli forces on innocent people. On Wednesday, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk addressed to Mr. Netanyahu on the X platform, formerly Twitter. Mr. Prime Minister Netanyahu, Mr. Ambassador Livne, the vast majority of Poles showed full solidarity with Israel after the Hamas attack. Today, you are putting this solidarity to a really hard test. The tragic attack on volunteers and your reaction aroused understandable anger. This was the harsh comment, the statement by Mr. Donald Tusk. Earlier, the Israeli ambassador in Poland, Yaakov Livne, blamed the accusation of an international murderer. Also, the Polish Foreign Ministry is urgently seeking explanation for the incident. Poland does not agree to a lack of compliance with international humanitarian law and the protection of civilians, including humanitarian workers, said the ministry in a press communique. Meanwhile, its head, the head of the Foreign Ministry, Radosław Sikorski, announced that he had personally asked Israeli Ambassador Yaakov Livne for urgent explanation of what had happened. He said that the Foreign Ministry had also launched its own investigation. So this is a very sad situation and also very dramatic in terms of diplomacy with this clash between the Polish government and the Israeli government. So we'll see what will happen in the next day. Probably this is not the end of the story. Now we'll pass to something internal. Unfortunately, also in this case, we have to report not good news, and I'm referring to the balance of the recent storm that battered Poland in the days around Easter. 5 people, unfortunately, were killed and several others were injured after several winds that caused falling trees, damaged roof, and disrupting power supplies. Firefighters said that they had been called out more than 730 times on Easter Monday to deal with the aftermath of gales, especially in the southern parts of the country. Powerful winds wreaked havoc in the southern Małopolskie region, so in the Little Poland, which includes the historic city of Kraków. It was said by Karol Kierzowski, a spokesman for the State Fire Service. In the popular mountain resort of Zakopane and the surrounding areas, the gales destroyed the roofs of more than 80 buildings, Kierzowski said. The winds also left a trail of destruction in the neighboring province of Śląsk. according to the officials. Many homes were left without electricity after power lines were damaged in the country south. It was reported by the Government Center for Security, RCB. And unfortunately, a 23-year-old woman lost her life in Zakopane after a falling tree crushed the car she was traveling in. In another incident caused by the weather in the area, a 9-year-old boy died and 2 women were injured after a tree fell on a group of people leaving a church on Easter Monday. While in the nearby spa town of Rabgasdrui, a 6-year-old girl and 2 women were fatally crushed by a falling tree branch. This was stated by PAP, the Polish State News Agency. So the balance was tragic, and yes, our condolences for the losses to the families. And now we change, we switch a bit to another kind of news. This is something different, not from what we have just reported, and this is something that we can find in not from Poland, the web magazine in English reporting news about and from Poland. This is something curious. This is news about the Łódź airport, which is going to become the first in Poland with a solar farm. The city of Łódź has unveiled plans for its airport to become the first in Poland to host a solar farm, reports News from Poland. The plant will both power the airport itself as well as sell electricity commercially. There is also a statement by the Łódź deputy mayor Adam Pustelnik to the daily Gazeta Wyborcza, who said that the airport site is unique with very good sunlight, which will make the efficiency of this installation exceptional. Such investment pay off very quickly. They guarantee independence from supply fluctuation and from external factors. Giving some details, the solar farm will cover an area of up to 13 hectares and is expected to eventually reach a capacity of 10 megawatt, around 7 million of euro. Is the cost of the investment in zloty is 30 millions, and it will be covered by Volta Polska, a Polish-French renewable energy group. The airport, meanwhile, contributes the land for the project. As part of the agreement with Volta Polska, the solar plant will provide part of its output exclusively to the airport, while the rest will be sold commercially. City Hall says that the investment will make Łódź Airport the first in Poland to host a solar farm, but Pustelnik noted that it will be following in the footsteps of other European airports such as those in Düsseldorf, Bruges and Rotterdam. Municipality of Łódź has also recently announced plans to build a cluster of solar farms on an area of approximately 35 hectares previously reserved for a municipal cemetery on the southeastern edge of the city. This is a sign that solar energy in Poland is increasing and gaining popularity. In the last year, it reached 8.7% of the country's energy production, up from just 1.3% in 2020. So this is a dramatic increase in only 4 years. And now we are approaching to the end of the first part of the broadcast. This time we don't have any news of sport, but we have something cultural. because we have this news. The Polonica Institute, expert from the National Institute of Polish Cultural Heritage Abroad, will focus on the renovation of Polish monuments in Italy and France. This is a news reported by Polskie Radio, the section in English of Polskie Radio. The head of the Protection of Polish Heritage Abroad program of the Polonica Institute, Piotr Ugowski, said that 3 paintings will be renovated in the temple in Rome. The temple is the Church of Saint Stanislaus. The paintings are the martyrdom of Saint Stanislaus, the resurrection of Piotrowin, and the glory of Saint Stanislaus in heaven. All 3 were painted by Filippo Bracci for the 500th anniversary of the saint's canonization. The paintings will be cleaned, the paint chips will have to be filled with an appropriate layer of putty retouched varnished. Typical painting conservation with probably additions on the sides after stretching them anew on the canvas, Piotr Ugowski explained. Polonica experts will also continue their work at the Champeau Cemetery in Montmorency near Paris, in France, which is the final resting place of many distinguished Poles, politicians, social activists, scientists, and people of culture. Kazimierz Śmiechowski, among them. He was a medical doctor. He also participated in the November uprising, for which he was awarded the Virtuti Militari Medal. It is the highest Polish military honor. His grave will be renovated. It will be renovated also the tombstone of Alexander Orłowski at Champeau. Orłowski was an artillery captain awarded the Polish Order of Honor, and also the Jaroszyński Chapel, the chapel of Mikołaj Jaroszyński, a Knight of the Legion of Honor, will be continued. The work as are already on site. The work of renovation will continue this year. And this was the last news of the first part of 1 week in Poland. As usual, before starting with the second part, I leave you with a song. She was Brodka or Miss Brodka, and the song was Granda. Welcome back to the second part of 1 week in Poland. The second part of the broadcast, as usual, will be focused more about Warsaw and about some advices for the weekend. This time it will be quite a rich part, richer than usual, especially speaking about the news, because probably you already know tomorrow it will be election day in Warsaw, but not only Warsaw, in all Poland. All the country will vote for the local elections, for the mayors, city councils, the counties, and the regions called voivodeships. This is quite important because this is the first electoral test after the political elections of the past October 15th. And there is curiosity to see how will be reacted, how will be the result for the ruling coalition, for the parties forming the ruling coalition that now in this specific election they are running against each other, and on the other side there is curiosity to see what will be the result of Law and Justice, the former ruling party. If Law and Justice will be able to overturn the defeat of the last political elections. Especially in Warsaw, of course, we are focused about our capital city to see what will happen. The favorite, according to the service, is the outgoing mayor Rafał Trzaskowski of the Civic platform. However, his victory in the first round is not very sure, is not given as sure like was, for example, in the elections in 2018. The polls show the leftist candidate Magdalena Biejat, deputy speaker of the Senate, in the second place, followed by the candidate of Law and Justice Tobiasz Bocheński. Looking the programs, Mr. Trzaskowski emphasized that the upcoming elections are about the continuation of what his team is currently doing for the inhabitants of the capital. He announced the completion of several key investments, like the new center of Warsaw with the so-called Plac Centralny, the new building of the Museum of Modern Art, and the transformed Kmielna Street. And finally, the completion of the construction of the tram line, which is bothering the resident of Tuwilanów for many years. In the next term will be investments in education. Mr. Trzaskowski announced building more schools, kindergartens, and nurseries. Mr. Trzaskowski also emphasizes that it is necessary to ensure the availability of psychological care for the youngest. Moreover, he is a supporter of the development of rail transport. The priority is the construction of the third metro line and the expansion of the connection network with additional tram lines. Looking to Magdalena Biejat's program, she's a resident of Warsaw by birth. She is a member of Lewica, the left, which is running with the association Nasze Miasto, Warszawa Nasze Miasto, Warsaw Our City. She's a translator of Spanish language literature by profession, and all her political activity was always concentrated in Warsaw. In the race for the presidency of Warsaw, as I said, she's running for the left, for Lewica. After announcing her participation in the election, she defined her three main priorities: investments in social housing, access to good public education, and a safe and friendly public space. In its program for education, she promises to reduce class sizes to 20 people, provide free tutoring and meals in schools, and calm traffic around the schools. In her opinion, the capital is struggling with the problem of lack of cheap apartments for rent, and she believes that the city has enough money and land to build such facilities. In a matter of transport, she's a supporter of creating a coherent network of bicycle paths and bus lanes wherever buses are stuck in traffic jams. According to Biejat, the city should first build new tram lines to Gocław along ulica Modlinska and Zielona Białołęka, and only then invest in the expensive metro. And then the third candidate, Tobiasz Bocheński, he is the current governor of Mazowian Voivodeship, and earlier between 2019 and 2023 he was governor of Huj Voivodeship. He is a representative of Law and Justice Party. He's pretty new to Warsaw, as he arrived into the capital city just last year, and due to that is probably moderately known. So he is not very known in the city. While it's remarkable, what is remarkable in about his statement in the past, some statements of Bocheński regarding the palace and of culture and science, one of the most important building in Warsaw, that drew his criticism as a symbol of communist power, as well as of the incumbent authorities of the capital. So this was the way he attacked the current city council. He also explained some concerns about the way the city is managed, specifically about the paid parking zone in Saska Kępa and Kamionek, so two neighborhood in Praga, Południe, Praga South, then the clean transport zone, as well as handing over to the city the school building at Ulica Kielecka 45, which had been taken from the embassy of the Russian Federation. In the electoral campaign, he also proposed decongesting Warsaw from the traffic, and the introduction of the application VAVO for the residents, where according to the originator, the citizens will be able to decide what tree they want to plant on their street or where to build a sidewalk. So this is quite an innovation. Bocheński also wants to build two metro lines at the same time. The third line from the National Stadium to Gocław, and the fourth from Tarchomim district to Wilanów. He emphasizes that it is also important to promote urban transport among residents from the youngest generation, and that's why he promises to introduce a free ticket for high school students after the elections. So this was a general overview about the programs of the three most important candidates. Then there are others from the other parties, but let's say that these three candidates will be the candidates who will dispute the victory. In the case no one of them gain 50% of the votes, in 2 weeks there will be a second round, so 2 weeks after tomorrow, starting from tomorrow. And now we close the page of the politics, the page of the of the elections, and we move to the advices for the weekend. I have two for you. One is for today. Is a concert by the British rock band of King Noon. They are playing at Club Humure in the 11 November Street, number 22, 11 listopada 22, starting at 6 p.m. It's a pop rock band formed by Theo Polisoids, his vocal and the guitar of the band, James Upton, the guitar, Nathan Gain, bass guitar, and Caius S.I. Playing the drums. They become famous in the past year, which the album Mass, described by NME magazine as brutal and brilliant, and the DIA portal said of it a sound to be reckoned with. So this is my first advice for today, first musical advice. The second is for tomorrow. For tomorrow at Niebo Club in Nowy Świat Street 21, starting at 7 p.m. There will be the concert by Baranowski. Baranowski, after 5 years after his debut, now he's presenting the last work entitled Escapes and Retards, Ucieczki I Powroty. It was released on February 16. And this concert is the chance to go across all the career of this singer, musician, and songwriter. I can recall some of the hit singles he released through the years, like for example Momente, or Freedom, Wolność, We Have Nothing, Nie mamy nic, and what's probably most recognized, I like being with her, lubię być z nią. So this was the last advice for this week. I leave you as usual with a song, and I want to say thank you to staying with us for this half an hour. I wish you a nice weekend, and see you in 7 days with another episode of 1 Week in Poland. Bye bye.